All right. No worries, Maura. You can keep that camera off. No problemo. We got the core squad. I feel like this is the core. This is the core squad that's here every week. Thank you guys so much for being so. I'm gonna get a little vulnerable with you guys today. I'm gonna share something that I experienced this week, and I really just feel like I'm hoping it's something other people can relate to. Maybe it's just my crazy brain that plays its own little tricks, but um I you guys can tell me if this is something that you can relate to because I think it's something that if we can really start to see how our brain is working either for us or against us, right, then we can really start to tap into the work that we really need to do so that we can generate the results that we want to generate. For those of you who don't know, I am a single mom. I got a little almost 3-year-old running around. So I'm full-time mom. And this business, I am full-time energy, full-time effort, but not always full-time hours. And so typically what happens with my schedule is my big dial days are towards the end of the week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. If I'm lucky, I can dial all three of those days. The other days are kind of hit or miss, just kind of depends on a number of different things. So I spent Monday and Tuesday, I both had time to work. And I kind of had I noticed this after, right? A lot of this is like in retrospect of looking back. The long of the short of it is I did not dial on Monday or Tuesday. And I probably could have. I could have created the time to get those dials in. And I've got big goals this month that I need to be dialing for. And so Monday comes, I keep myself busy. I have some appointments, write an application. Tuesday, I keep myself busy. I have an appointment, I write an application. And so in my head, I'm like, well, I'm writing applications. Like I'm good, right? Like I'm good. Wednesday comes. Wednesday's my big dial day, right? Wednesday's the like, I've got 8 hours so I can get, the majority of the dialing done. I'll book up my Thursday, Friday. Cool. Wednesday comes, I don't want to dial. Not even like I'm scared to dial, not even like I don't want to. To the point where I realized that that had been growing. Monday, didn't really want to dial, so I kept myself busy. Tuesday, didn't want to dial, kept myself busy. But now Wednesday's here, and like now I gotta look at this because I don't want to dial, but I gotta dial. Like if I want to make money, if I want to keep this momentum of sitting appointments and writing policies, I got to keep that going, right? And so, to the point, you guys, I was like a little child having a little tantrum in the corner of like, I don't wanna. Like, I literally at one point was like, I just don't wanna. Put a one in the chat if you ever feel like a child who's having a tantrum and you're just like, I just don't want to do the thing. And maybe that thing is something we need to do or we know we should do. Um, I'm also reading a book right now it's called The Whole Brain Child. It is literally about child development and how our brains developed. And so I think there's a part of me that's just kind of relating to that 2 to 3-year-old who's like full in tantrum mode, trying to integrate all the different parts of our brain. So I realize I've got this little girl inside of me that's like, I just don't wanna. So I like went into all my tools, right? And so I lay down and I'm like, okay, I gotta get out of this. Like I gotta shift. I gotta get out of this because this is not gonna pay my bills. This is not gonna be how I slingshot this month. So I lay down, I do my thing, and really what ended up happening is I became this observer. I I I stepped into the role of coach or mentor, right? Like what if one of my teammates came to me, if one of my agents came to me and said, this is how I'm feeling, what would I say to them? What would I invite them into? What would that coaching look like? Because oftentimes y'all come to me and I got you some real good advice for you, but I'm not always taking it for myself. Um, and so I kind of stepped out and I asked myself, why don't you want to dial? What is it about dialing that you don't want to do? I had no answer. I had no answer for that part of my brain. The part of my brain that was like, but what? But like, why not? Like, what are we actually tantruming about? What are we actually not wanting to do? I don't mind dialing. I don't always love it, but like, I don't mind it. I'm decent at it. I like talking to people. I like setting the appointments because then I know I have appointments to sit. And if I'm sitting appointments, then I know that I have the opportunity to write applications. And if I'm writing applications, I know I have the possibility of making money. And that's what we're here to do. So I spent a few minutes with that question and realized I don't have a good answer. So I'm throwing this 3-day tantrum that took me 2.5 days to even notice that my brain was hard at work, right? And so as soon as I realized I don't actually have a good answer for this, now I got to look at like what is this about, you guys? It took me days to realize that it was my brain with all, we talk about this a lot in here, right? The stories and the beliefs and the identity that I am attached to. And there is a large identity that I have that, like, for me, it's worthiness. I'm not worthy of all the things that, right? We see the success stories, we see the money, we see the momentum, the speed at which people are generating results. And my underlying limiting belief, the identity and story is that I'm not worthy of it. And so my brain is working very, very hard to protect the stories that are keeping me small. And so it's telling me, you don't need to dial. You just wrote 2 applications in 2 days. You don't need to dial. You just got some deposits. You got some instant issue business. You got what you need. You don't need to dial. You got all this other stuff to do. You don't need to dial. You guys, and what I thought about is I've been doing work and been working with neuropsychology and working with my brain for a decade. So drop a 2 in the chat if if there is something that you seem like paralyzed to do or that you oftentimes don't want to do or you're not taking action on that you know would move the needle forward. And here's my question for you. Only one person? Okay. Okay. I'm like, I might not be talking to the right crowd. Thank you guys. You guys, how long have you been there? How long have you been avoiding the thing, not doing the thing, being the toddler in the corner, throwing the tantrum because you just don't wanna? Thank you, Rick. I appreciate you. Um, I think that if it took me 3 days to recognize this, former versions of me, it would have taken weeks or months or even years of not doing the things that we know we could do. And it's not, we got to take a step back. It's not just not doing the thing, but are we able to play that observer role, to step outside of ourselves? And maybe we do need a coach or a mentor or a therapist or somebody that you can say, like, help me. Where is the inaction? Where is the lack of motivation or inspiration or discipline? Like, where is that rooting from? And so I want to invite you guys, like, if anybody feels brave enough or wants to, like, what is that thing? If you feel comfortable sharing in the chat, what is that thing? And I would love if you just one or two of you, we can even look at it together. But like, can we get curious and neutral and take that step back to be like, huh, why don't we want to do that? Why aren't we doing that? And maybe we do have a good reason, right? Maybe the fear is crippling. Maybe it's risky, right? Maybe it's spending money on leads. You know that if you upped your lead budget, that you could generate higher results or would be more likely to, but there's still the risk. There's still the possibility that that doesn't happen. And so that fear starts to cripple us. That fear is activating the doubt and the stories and the beliefs that we're not good enough, that we can't, that we're not courageous enough, that we're not going to see the return on that investment. And yeah, we are all in the entrepreneurial/intrapreneurial space where an entrepreneur is defined as somebody who takes risks, right? So do you identify as an entrepreneur? Do you identify as a hobbyist? Right. When I say identify, I don't mean like outwardly, like what are you saying when somebody asks you what you do and you say like, oh, I own a life insurance agency. Cool. But like, do you own your life insurance agency? Does the 95% of your brain that runs the show believe that you are the owner of a life insurance agency? And we know if unconscious mind knows and believes that by our results. Our results are a reflection of our intention. So if we are on our way, fast path to agency owner, that is a reflection that our subconscious mind believes that we are agency owners and are capable of that. But if we keep setting goals and we keep not hitting them, then we have to look at what is we could say our intention, our goal is to slingshot. But if our results aren't tracking, we have to consider that our unconscious mind that's running the show, it is not that part of our brain's intention to hit the goal, to hit the slingshot. Um, I'm just looking at some of these notes. I keep thinking I have time to do it. So the urgency isn't where it needs to be. Yeah, and we live in a world of we don't have time, and we know that, right? We know that, but do we know? Are we choosing to believe and to subscribe to that? Yep, Alfonso had that happen this week. Yep, newly single mom. That's so hard. Yep. So many things that you haven't done to support yourself because you haven't wanted to face the reality that you need it. Oof, Val, that's big. That's big. So, you guys, today, this week, I want to invite you to become that observer, to get really curious about what it actually is. And maybe you have a reason, maybe you don't, but like get really, really specific, right? It if the feeling is I don't wanna with recruiting or producing, get really, really specific. What is it about recruiting? What is it about producing? And maybe it has nothing to do with business. Maybe it's in your personal life. Maybe you want to lose weight. Maybe you want to get stronger. Maybe you want to take care of something. That I was talking to somebody the other day who'd been putting off a dental procedure to the point where it became very, very painful because they kept putting it off, right? So what is the thing you're not doing, and get down to the very, very nitty gritty detail. Like for me, it was I don't want to die. I just don't want to dial. But there was literally no reason why I didn't want to dial, because I might not have wanted to dial, but I did want the result. What I didn't even tell you guys the end of the story. So I sat down and I dialed. It wasn't a large, I dialed for 2 hours, 75 dials. I think I booked 4 appointments. Had probably one of the most amazing conversations with like a C or a D lead, where he was literally yelling at me at the beginning of the conversation. And I got really real with him. And 6 months ago, I would not have gotten really real with this man. I would have been like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to offend you. Let me get off this phone call as quickly as possible. But I didn't. He questioned me and I answered, and I gave him what he was giving me, to the point where he said, "Okay, Mars, you got my attention." And he was combative and he was dismissive, and probably so far since I've been here, my most proud, even if he doesn't write an application. I got the appointment, but even if he doesn't write an application, like that showed me that I'm good at this and that I am worthy of being here. And so, but I had to push through that hard, and I had to get curious, and I had to just realize, like, wait a second, there's no reason I don't want to do this. And I sat down and I got it done. Wasn't a lot of dials. It wasn't, it wasn't the 300 dials I wanted to have by that point in the week. But I booked 4 appointments. I don't always book 4 appointments on 77 dials. So, I just want to invite you guys to get really, really curious and to ask yourself those questions. And another tool, we're gonna wrap here in a second, but I just want to share this tool for anybody who's interested. If you don't have a coach or a mentor or somebody who's really real with you, A, find one, but B, until then, grab a journal, maybe buy a new journal just for this, a notebook, and write down. What would you say if you went to a therapy session, if you could go to a coach? Or maybe it's just like 11 o'clock at night, so you don't have access to those people. Write in your journal what it is that you need, what dump, right? Just dump it out, or it could be a voice memo, right? And then I want you to put it away. If it's late at night, put it away, go to bed, do your stuff. In the morning, before you even open that journal, you listen to that voice memo, put yourself in coach brain, put yourself in leader brain, put yourself in, if an agent of mine, if my best friend, if a sibling, if somebody I loved and cared about came to me with what I'm about to read or listen to, how would I respond as the leader, as the coach, as the mentor? Play that role for yourself. Learning how to coach yourself is one of the best things you can learn how to do. Put yourself in that mind frame, then listen or read it, and then respond. If it was a voice memo, do another voice memo. If it was written, write. What would you do? What would you respond if this was a third person, third party, somebody else coming to you asking you for advice or asking you for whatever the question is that you need to ask? Coach yourself. You will find that there's something in you. You have the answer. You always have the answer. The answer is inside of you. And so oftentimes we have the like, I don't know. I don't know. Because if I don't know, I don't have to take action. If I don't know, I don't got to look at it. If I don't know, anybody who is on my team knows if you've come to me with, I don't know, yes, you do. Maybe not consciously, but you've got the answer. We all have the answers. Um, I'm going to wrap it there. I hope that was helpful. Um, And yeah, I will see you guys. I know we got a small crew this morning. So keep telling your friends, keep telling your teams, keep telling your people, keep talking about it in the workroom. Would love to see this space grow. I know that there's at least a little bit of value getting got here because some of you guys are showing up every week. So thank you so much. For those of you who are here every week. It is Saturday. It is day one of week 4. We've got 7 days left to submit for Saturday or for September. And we have 11 days left to issue for September. So whatever you are going for, it is possible. You got 11 days to do it. So let's go make some magic happen. Let's all get on that weekend warrior board. I love you all. Have an awesome
Thank
weekend.
you, Marcy. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Of course.